Aethir is worth looking at. The HTH token is a direct competitor to Render and to Akash, so we're looking at decentralized GPU computing. Let's have a look at tokenomics. Let's have a look at the backers. Let's have a look at how much longer this price could potentially rally. So here we are at almost 9 cents, up almost 40% today, very shortly after launch. And I'm not going to run you just through the website and sell you the marketing jazz. This is an objective channel. I'm not just going to shill you, hoping to buy the coin and dump on you. Because here are the reasons why most people argue that you should be buying Aethir. Aethir has 20 times the GPU power of the Render network and 45 times the computing power of Akash. Render is currently valued at roughly 5 billion, Akash at 1.3 billion, and Aethir has currently a fully diluted market cap of 3.7 billion. Note, there's only 9% floating here. This is a first hint towards tokenomics. The supply of the ATH token will more than 10x at some point. So demand has to grow at least at the same pace for the price just to stay stable. That does not mean that the price has to crash now though, because we have seen very similar projects in the past and they initially rallied quite a bit, but more on this later. So things in general look very healthy. The Twitter account has almost 1 million followers. So 875,000 followers on Twitter. And of course, a lot of that excitement comes from the GPU demand, right? Nvidia is currently doing very, very well. And so people are looking for the next best thing that might potentially have a levered effect on GPU demand. So if the gains of Nvidia stock isn't enough for you, then maybe Aethir is an option. But let's have a look at the demand and supply dynamics, because that's in the end what determines the price, right? It's the intersection between supply and demand. So Aethir is decentralized GPU power, and the early adopters were able to buy a node, a checker node. That sale has ended though. Prior to selling those nodes, Aethir raised 32 million in funds. There's more information on ICO drops, who those investors are, and most of those investors already made a pretty nice return. Here's the average ROI. And so here's the thing, right? When there is support by venture capital, that's potentially good to build out the project, but it also means that those venture capitalists might be selling their tokens at some point, depressing the price. So again, demand has to grow as quickly as tokens unlock. Let's have a look at tokenomics. Let's have a look at the unlocks. So here we've got the token distribution of Aethir. We've got our airdrop. We've got the investor allocation. We've got half of the tokens going to checker nodes and compute providers. More on this later. 15% to ecosystem, 5% to advisors, 12.5% to the team. How will this hit the market? The team has to wait 18 months. There's another airdrop 8 months from now where the supply will double. Another 8 months from now where the supply compared to today will triple. The development fund is already vesting linearly over 24 months. The treasury is vesting as well. The investors are gonna dump in 12 months. And the checker nodes and edge nodes are also contributing in the next 4 years. So what does this mean? This means, of course, an expanding supply. And what can potentially stop the depression of the price when the supply increases? It's demand maybe for the computing power. It's demand maybe for the nodes that have to potentially be bought with the token. And what happens when you have to buy a node with a token that in the end pays out the rewards in the same token? We've got something that resembles Ponzi-nomics, right? I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. There is ways to make money with Ponzi schemes, but in case we've got these kind of Ponzi-nomics going on here, you need to find an exit point at some point. So don't hold this forever. More on this later when we compare this to another very similar crypto project. So let's have a look at the on-chain metrics. Let's have a look at how many people are currently holding the ATH token. There's 2 versions of the token, one on Ethereum, one on Arbitrum. The Ethereum token is still the main version at the moment. There's 35,000 holders, but only 1,600 holders have more than $1,000 worth of the coin. 200 wallets have more than $10,000 worth of the coin, and 47 holders have more than $100,000 worth of the coin. We are still very early. This is not a lot of holders yet. Will there be any dilution because of listings on other centralized exchanges? Maybe. There is no listing yet on Binance or on Coinbase. And when the listing gets announced, of course, we will see a short-term price hike. So far, the main centralized exchanges are OKX, Gate.io, Bybit, and HTX. Now here's a parallel I'd like to draw, and that parallel is to a crypto project called Helium. Helium built a decentralized Wi-Fi infrastructure. So you bought a Helium node, you had to buy this with real cash, and then that node paid out HNT tokens over time. The initial purchases of the node pushed up the HNT price, but then when the rewards were paid out and not a lot of people used the infrastructure, then the HNT price gradually went down. So there was not enough demand for usage of this Wi-Fi infrastructure. And with a lack of demand for the infrastructure, there wasn't enough demand for HNT. Thus the price depressed when supply increased. Now let's have a look at how long the party lasted. So again, let's check out this chart. This was a pretty long ride for almost 1 year, and you could make massive money with this. At the top though, the market cap was at 5 billion. The situation with Aethir is slightly different. We are already at 3.5 billion. This needs to go to 1 million, or March buyers now will make millions. This is how you get the clicks on YouTube, but this is not how you beat the market. To beat the market in crypto, you need to be better informed than the rest. You need to be better skilled than the rest. You need to do better blockchain analytics. You need to track other people's wallets and know what is the smart money doing. It's the boring educational content that forms skill that doesn't perform so well on YouTube though. That's why I created the premium membership. Feel free to check it out. We are tracking influencer wallets to find out what they are buying before promoting this on YouTube. We've got a lot of tutorials to help with on-chain analytics, to help with wallet discovery. And of course, there are also plenty of chats where we help each other, and also one-on-one conversations with me. So I'm messaging every premium member one-on-one directly. Once you're joining, you will get a message from me and you have the opportunity to directly pick my brain. Feel free to check it out, thebitcointrader.com, link is down below. And the big question is, what could be the next demand driver for the ATH token? And maybe that's the new node. Let's have a look. There's not just the Aethir checker, there's now the Aethir Edge as well. And there's almost 150,000 people that have already signed up to get that Aethir Edge. And it might make sense to have a look at how quickly this number is growing. But the fact that this number is even shown here, that should indicate that the team is pretty much aware that a lot of people that buy in know that this is to a degree a player versus player game, right? This is to a degree a redistribution game. I'm not going to say the P word again, but you know exactly what I mean. I do believe that this project has some potential to go further up, at least medium term. There's simply so much money behind this, right? There can be a lot of promotion that could be done. But I wouldn't buy the ATH token to hold it over the next 4 or 5 years. I do believe that at some point it's likely that the tokenomics will catch up. So this is to a degree, in my opinion, like playing with fire. Make sure that you have your eyes on a potential exit point at some point if you get in. Don't just buy the hype, have a very clear look at how quickly is the community growing, how many new tokens enter the market, and then make a judgment call at what point in time the supply will grow faster than the demand. If this is your first time, feel free to subscribe. I will continue to make updates on Aethir on this channel as well. Feel free to also give this a like, it will help the channel grow. If you've got Telegram, then you are more than welcome to join us. The link is down below. Looking very much forward to seeing you in Telegram. Cheers.